Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Alice. Thank you so much for joining me. And today's video, we're going to be talking about the new moon in Taurus that's happening on May 7th, 2024. And it's at 11:22 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so you can translate that to wherever you are in the world. And so we know that anytime we experience a new moon, this means that the sun and moon are conjunct in the same sign and the same degree of the sky. This time at 18 degrees and 2 minutes at Taurus. So look to see what house that's happening in your natal chart or birth chart. And you can see where this initiation is happening, what aspect of life is happening for you. So this is a seed point. This is where we've come from the last lunation cycle, and we're coming to seeding something new in consciousness. And this particular new moon is interesting because we have the moon, the sun, right, at 18, and then we have Venus in Taurus, which is the ruler of this new moon, right? So Venus is at 10 degrees, and then we have Uranus at 22 and Jupiter at 25 degrees. And so the moon, the sun, Uranus are conjunct more tightly, and then sandwiched in between Jupiter and Venus. So I think it's very interesting. I think that this is really nice in the sense too that Saturn is in Pisces and it's at 17 degrees. So there's a sextile that's happening with the new moon with Saturn in Pisces. And that also means ultimately too, there's a sextile with Uranus and Saturn. And we know that Saturn and Uranus are the rulers, the planetary guides of Aquarius, where Pluto is and where Pluto just stationed retrograde. And so I wrote a piece on Substack about this Pluto retrograde. You can check it out. I'll put the link to Substack in the comments or in the description box. And if you like to read posts, then you can check that out, because I love writing about things. I also love doing videos, and they're totally different. And sometimes I get some insights with writing that's different than with videos. So if you like to read about astrology, you can check it out. But Pluto went retrograde. And so it's in Aquarius. Pluto's going to retrograde back into Capricorn for the last time in this lifetime for us, right? And so it's going to go direct on October 11th of 2024. So there's this time where we're really going to be, I think, listening in to our own, how we're structuring our own reality. Remember that Capricorn is very much connected to the moon because it sits across from Cancerian consciousness ruled by the moon, right? And Capricorn being ruled by Saturn. And so how we're structuring our reality based on often what we've come to believe, particularly based on the culture that we found ourselves in. So maybe ideas that we've osmosed from the cultures that we found ourselves in, or the spiritual beliefs that we found ourselves in really getting out there and connecting with different philosophies and religions and cultures, and including art and just communication in general, creativity in general, right? How we communicate and express our world. And so, you know, with Capricorn, Pluto going through Capricorn since 2007, 2008, right, has been really about exposing and digging deep down into how we've structured our reality based on these ideas, beliefs, and cultural influences and philosophies and, things we inherited from our society that we grew up in, our family structures that were actually steeped within these societies and cultures and things like that, right? So, I think with Pluto just going retrograde, we're going to do some more of that. And with this new moon, so more of the digging deep and looking at what beliefs or what parts of our inner world are not, that are feeling maybe stale, or we're not, that is not how we want our reality, ultimately, how we want to feel internally. And I say feel too, because in this new moon, it's ruled by Venus, and Venus is in her own sign, Taurus. Now, Taurus is the heart chakra. Venus is the planetary guide and connection to the heart chakra. I always see the planets as functions in consciousness, and that we have these energetic umbilical cords to the planets in our solar system. We are a part of it, right? And so it's like that's how Venus is connected. So it's our heart chakra. And interestingly, this new moon is conjunct Uranus. I always think of Uranus as the defibrillator, right? And so it like shocks us. It can shake us into a new rhythm and a new beat in a way, and a new heartbeat in a way where, we're just awakening. So Uranus can bring experiences that are ultimately to serve our awakening. And because Saturn is in Pisces, sextile to Uranus, sextile particularly tight to the new moon and the sun, right? I think that this can be this initiation that's happening in this new moon, where for the next 6 months, as things unfold from the seeding of what's happening for us in our own consciousness, what's seeding is going to be unfolding and flourishing and assisting us to flourish, really, by this Uranian piece, where we're getting the opportunity to shake up any of the Saturnian beliefs that we've osmosed from society or the collective and the collective unconscious. So this can be really shaking things up, because Neptune's in Pisces. It's in the last degree of Pisces. It's at 29 degrees. And Saturn's there. And so this is really about dissolving these ideas that we may have osmosed. And also Saturn there is giving us the opportunity to see, well, is there these areas that we're particularly in this sense of depression or compression, or where we sense a pressure, or where our consciousness is moving in and we're seeing where we feel restricted. And that also we can utilize the element of Saturnian restriction to guide us to apply restriction in the appropriate places for us, so that we're shaping our reality in an authentic way to what we desire, like what we're passionate about, and our own authentic relationship to our own contribution to the collective and our own personal service to the collective, just by being who we are. So Taurus is about really getting in touch with really like being, our sense of being. And because it's a yin sign. And this is where, we've emerged out of Pisces into Aries. We've emerged. And then Venus and Taurus is about then really relaxing and receiving in the environment and getting to know ourselves through the senses, getting to know our own path and our own service through what we love and desire. So going back to that heart chakra, what is it that grows our heart? We're naturally designed to be heart full. We're designed to be coming from the heart. And yet, we may have found ourselves in a sea of collective ideas or societal ideas or definitions and beliefs that haven't really been or aren't supporting us anymore, or maybe weren't really authentic to us. We tried it on. The South Node's in Libra, so this is kind of about trying things on, comparing and contrasting and going, okay, I'll try this on. Oh, no, that's not me. Oh, no, that's not me. What is me, because Mercury just conjuncted the Chiron yesterday, actually, before the new moon. And the moon actually moved really quickly the last few days over Mars. Well, first of all, we could just say Saturn, Neptune in Pisces, and then Mars in Aries. The moon moves really quickly, right? Then the North Node, then Mercury, and Chiron. And, then Venus, and then now at the new moon. And then after the new moon, we'll then move towards Uranus and Jupiter. And so this is really about the integration of who we are. Mars is the ruler of the North Node in Aries. And so this is about remembering that in relationship, our relationships and our life and how we're actually relating to life has to be a reflection of who we are and authentic expression of who we are. And so this is a great time for initiations in regards to contemplating these things in your life and in our lives, right? Our lives, and just ultimately doing the work to notice where it is that we experience the Aries cues, for example, of getting angry, where our passion is actually not being directed in the way that is productive for us, right? I just say that because Mars being in Aries and the North Node in Aries and Mercury there, Mercury conjunct Chiron, all of that. I can just imagine we've all had experiences where we've been frustrated, irritated, angry, passionate, and extremely passionate, really, with all that Aries, and coming into contact with where we need to maybe make some pivots or where we feel held back in our momentum. So, Venus and Taurus is really all about getting in touch with our senses so that we know what our evolutionary momentum is really meant to go for, right? Mars is about taking action towards that which we love. And, Venus is about sitting back and relaxing enough to really assess what we love, to sense what brings passion in our lives and what, makes us feel happy and energized and, energized, right? Because Taurus is across from Scorpio, ruled by Mars and Pluto. This is about what makes you feel alive, what makes you feel sexy, alive, sexy, and momentous, what I mean? Just this creative part of us, this Kundalini consciousness, this Kundalini energy, which is, associated with Uranus. And so really, this is a great time to be making a commitment to your own senses and really relaxing enough, doing things for you, for your body, to really be strong and vital, and to be in touch with your senses, because it is the direct connection to your evolutionary path and your instincts. And it is our instinct to go towards that which we love and desire, which magnetizes us, which pulls us and draws us in. And when we're in our passion, doing what we love, we naturally draw in what it is that we desire as well, right? So it's about acting on our passion. It's about acting on our senses and what really is taking care of us, our own needs, our own resources, and our own wealth and our relationship to wealth. What is our relationship to wealth? This is a great time to be assessing that, because this can be a enlightening experience, and where we can gain our own enlightenment through really paying attention to what's around us, to our senses, to what we're hearing, to what we're sensing, to the communication that's coming in. And communication comes in all forms, as we know. It's the plane going by. It's the eye contact that you made with the squirrel out there, and what were you thinking? And it's actually, everything is in service to you that's around you, and vice versa, right? This is about really this connection that we all have with each other, and also ultimately how we access that through our own senses. We access our own brilliance through our own senses and paying attention to what's going on. And so this can really be, connecting to the nervous system and the brain, Uranus, and actually allowing it to guide you, allowing your senses to guide you over the next 6 months, and see where that is taking you in regards to your own relationship to yourself and your own evolutionary path, and your relationships and the reflection that you are receiving back as well. So this is about authenticity, and Uranus will shake up what isn't authentic. And so this new moon is really helpful to that. And I don't think it's that any of us desire to be not authentic. I think it's that we've taken on ideas and beliefs that in order to receive, whether that's love or resources, acceptance, survival, abundance in some way, we've felt that we had to compromise what we really love, our own truth, our own authentic expression. We could have picked up ideas that our authentic expression wasn't good enough, or wasn't something, but it's our own process, and we're all in a process, right? And so this can really also be about really accepting our own process and others' process as well, so that we can, really be authentic with what is now, what is. And as we're present with that, then, we can make choices instinctually that are to our benefit, as well as to the benefit for those around us, even if it means that, we part ways, or we come together in a new way, or we come together in some way. But, with the south node of the moon, And remember, any new moon, any full moon is always going to be referring back to the nodes of the moon. With the south node of the moon in Libra, this is about seeding new things in regards to relationships, how we relate to relationships, that first and foremost is seated with our relationship to ourselves. And how do we get to know ourselves? But we really pay attention to ourselves and our own needs and our own desires, and we act on them. And we trust ourselves. We develop self-trust through that, because we can trust ourselves to go and do these things for us, to stand in our own ideas, our own brilliance, and our own expansion of consciousness. Because ultimately, that's our first responsibility in life, is to our own consciousness. And we do our best. And as we do our best with that, then we can do our best in our relationships. And, the thing is that we're coming into new territory with Pluto and Aquarius. And as things are being exposed with Pluto and Aquarius, as Pluto starts doing the digging and things start kind of, I'm getting this visual of just like how it's kind of like unearthing, or how things start to be exposed. We start connecting the dots. I think that we can go into this place, and especially now with the North Node in Aries too, is that we can go into this place where we re-experience ourselves, our consciousness of where we really didn't get or receive the recognition of our process in experiences where we were actually discovering something new in our lives, right? So in our upbringing, if there were times that we experienced any kind of trauma, and trauma can just be where we realize that we thought we knew it all about this thing, about life. And then something just really kind of shattered our idea of what reality was. And how that can present shock and in some ways a mental instability or trauma that, when that gets triggered, that we have to learn how to parent ourselves. We have to learn how to actually parent ourselves in ways that our parents didn't know how to parent us, because they had their own shadows and their own challenges, their own places that they also experienced the very same thing, where they didn't have the embrace in some way, shape, or form to navigate that bridge or that shift in reality, and that learning about reality. Didn't know how to integrate, didn't know how to connect the dots, And so this is what we do. We do our healing work, and we do the best we can, right? With what we know. And so ultimately, that starts with doing it for ourselves, really sensing what we need, and going about finding what we need in investing in investing in ourselves. So this is not about codependency and going and getting our needs met by someone else, but about really finding ways to meet our needs in new ways, to learn what we need to learn, to parent ourselves, to reach out, to pay for a class, to actually connect with a group, or to connect with information, connect with some kind of education, higher learning in some way, where we get to learn more about ourselves and what our own consciousness, whatever it is that's coming up for us, whatever it is, whatever puzzle pieces we need to put ourselves back together again. You know, it's like that Humpty Dumpty, the Humpty Dumpty riddle. I was thinking about that recently, and how appropriate that is to Leo and Aquarius, and how you know, Leo is like this part of us that is a queen and a king. And you know, as we know the story, Humpty Dumpty gets shattered, and all the king's horses and men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Something like that. I haven't read it in a while, but you know it. And I remember that as a kid. I remember being really interested in that particular riddle. So the thing is that we've had places, all of us, where our idea of reality was shattered in some way. And often as children and as parents, we don't always know how to communicate or, you know, how to support. And, you know, we're all learning as parents, you know, too. Learning to parent ourselves, right? As adults, learning to parent ourselves. And so this, I think Pluto and Aquarius, especially in the beginning degrees, can really be exposing these places in us that we're being shown these areas where we need to mature, and or that we can mature, that we can do better for ourselves and take care of ourselves. Recognize what's productive and what isn't productive, you know, for us. Also recognize empathy and compassion for yourself and others as well. How we're doing the best we can with what we know in the moment. And every moment can be this awesome opportunity to expand our consciousness and to see how well we can get, kind of like a game, you know, how good we can get at actually taking a pause and taking a moment in those times that we need to take care of ourselves, where we may see this kind of child part of us come out, and then where we can take care of ourselves and our needs. And then also you know, do our own healing work, Chiron and Aries, and how that naturally does the healing work in our relationships as well. So I really love this new moon. Conjunct Uranus, sandwiched between Jupiter and Venus, sextile Saturn in Pisces, Neptune at the last degrees of Pisces. And you know, this whole stellium in Taurus, it's activating not just Taurus, it's activating Scorpio. And so with Pluto just going retrograde, I think that, and by the way, Pluto went retrograde on May 2nd. So I think that, you know, that's significant. It's always such a grand design, right? And so thinking about that, you know, how Pluto just went retrograde. And then there's all this activating energy. Sun, Moon, Venus, Uranus, Jupiter, activating Scorpio. And so this is, you know, tuning into the senses, doing that work to reprogram the default settings, Pluto, in the unconscious, noticing the unconscious, like noticing your instincts, because your instincts are linked to the unconscious and what ideas you're actually operating on, what your operating system is operating on, what ideas, right? So then you can use these times where you're like, wow, I'm like having a little temper tantrum or whatever, you know. What am I believing about this moment? You know, what am I believing about myself or what I'm experiencing here, you know? So I think after this new moon, then the moon, connect to Uranus, then Jupiter. This is about your own expansion. This is about your own enlightenment. This is about your own ideas. And of course, how everything you've experienced up to now, all the ideas you've been exposed to, how that informs you. But at the end of the day, how it supports you, how it serves you to be of service to the collective, to be of service to your own relationship to life, your own relationship to yourself, and in service to that, in service to your own evolution, and then of course, and your own passions, and in service. So I want to say that again, in service to your own passions, and in service to the collective, because they're the same ultimately. So I hope this is helpful. And thank you so much for joining me. If you have any thoughts, insights, questions, it's always fun to interact. I always appreciate comments if you feel inclined. And if you got anything out of this video, if you find it valuable in any way, please do like the video or comment or subscribe to the channel. So I'll see you on the next video.